Welcome to another episode of Backyard Oasis. I'm your host, Amelia Hurd, and we have a wonderful show for you today. We will build an indoor water feature you will have to see to believe. I also have a great road trip planned to show you a couple of interesting water features. And as always, we'll be taking a couple of water breaks to give you some enlightening facts on what else? Water. So let's go and see what Chuck has in store for us today.
Don't adjust your sets, folks. This isn't an optical illusion. I actually am dressed and clean, and I even washed my hair, and it wasn't Thursday. Took off my shorts, put on a suit, because we got a call for a special event. And as you can see, this is something special. We came in and built this whole garden in 2 days, so stay tuned and we're going to show you how we did it.
There's water in the brook running down to the stream. There's a bullfrog on the bank, baby, singing songs to me. There's fish down underneath that water, baby, saying, oh man, you'll never catch me. When water falling down from the sky up above makes everything green, makes my flowers fall in love. Saw a thorny Mr. Rosebush, baby, saddle up to Miss Foxy Glove.
Today's show is sponsored in part by Firestone Pond Guard Rubber Liners.
I got a call a couple of weeks ago from a girl that's the director of an antique and garden show, and she wants to know, can you come in and build us a pond? Build us a pond? Are you kidding? That's what we do for a living. That's no problem. So we're going to come in, and of course the focal point of the whole garden is going to be our marvelous reflecting pool. It's going to be full of water lilies, and we're going to put it right in the very center of the garden. Frame it in with some concrete blocks, put our liner in, cap it with some blue stone, fluff it all up, and it's going to look great and wonderful. They'll come back in, put some pavers around the edges for walkways. They got tremendous amount of plant material they're going to put in, hollies, azaleas, camellias, just really nice looking flowering plants right now we're going to have in stock. And we've got a lot of garden designers that are involved in this project, so we're going to go around and talk to a few of them and get some of their ideas and inputs, and you'll see how this thing's going to come together. A project this big takes many dedicated people, and they all start early to transform 90,000 square feet of empty space into a heavenly garden retreat. And most of these people are volunteers. We're with Charlie Miller. He's the director of the Antique and Garden Show here, and he's the one responsible for putting all this together. Well, Charlie, yes. All I can say is you got a heck of a mess here right now. What are you going to do about this?
Well, we're going to call in a few resourceful individuals and a lot of volunteers, and we'll put together a show that's going to benefit some things here in the city that we're working in this week.
Great.
The middle of the floor here will be a garden, and behind that will be a cafe with another water element within it. And this has all been laid out and planned for several months now. And it all comes together. This is day one. Tomorrow we'll get day two a little bit further along with a whole lot of other things, and day three we'll get it finished.
Right. So of course I know what they want to do is have the gardens as more of a focal point to draw in a lot more people, but right. You're also going to have vendors and booths, and what all is going to be involved in that?
Well, we're going to have 90 vendors from all over the eastern half of the United States that are going to be selling a lot of product, both new and antique, mostly antique at this particular venue. And then we're going to have benefits on the evenings of Thursday night and Friday night that are going to focus on this water garden that's being installed and the areas around the cafe. This is our 10th year doing this little dog and pony show here, and this is day one. We start out at 6 in the morning on Tuesday, and it'll be beautiful Thursday at 6 p.m.
Well, I tell you what, I'm going to come back Thursday at 6 p.m. and we're going to stand in this exact same spot and see if this man tells the truth or not.
That sounds great.
Scott Glenn with Gardenscapes is the man in the know. He's the designer of the main garden area where our water feature will be built, and as you can see, he doesn't mind performing a little manual labor himself. Scott, oh man, you're not changing the plans again,
well,
right?
Just a few little changes.
All right. Hey, I'm here with Scott Glenn, our garden designer for the main garden area of this Antique and Garden Show, and Scott is drawing our scale drawing out, and he's got our plan and our pond where we want it to be, which is the focal point of the garden. So Scott, tell me a little bit about what kind of plant material you've chosen and how this thing's kind of going to mesh.
Well, the whole theme of the show was reflection, so I thought it would be a good idea to just use some old-fashioned plants that people could walk up and say, you know, I remember my grandmother had that at her house.
Right.
You know, I've got one of those in my yard and everything like that. I didn't really go, you know, straight far away from just some good traditional plants. And basically, the reflecting pool, it's the whole thing. Everything revolves around it. I've got these 4 paths coming in from each direction and stuff, so it makes easy access so people can walk around and get a good look at it and take a look at it. A couple big turf areas here just to give us some green. And then I've got in these corners here 4 little reflecting rooms, as they've called them. And basically there's 4 different gardeners, and they've kind of picked these, and they're going to do their own little thing in here.
All right, well, hey, let's grab a tape and some marking, and let's go out there and lay a pond out. What do you say?
Yeah, let's do it.
Scott and I take measurements in order to make sure that the water feature is in the center of this garden area. As you can see, I use a very high-tech tape to mark our outer limit.
Looks like Chuck has his hands full on this project, so let's take a water break. Do you know how to calculate the amount of water needed to fill a pool, pond, or other water feature? Write this formula down. We'll be right back with more Backyard Oasis.
Well, it looks like more items are arriving for the garden area that will be surrounding our reflecting pool. So let's get started with the construction. All right, you can see we've already gotten our center line laid for the garden. And I'm going to come back in, and I know the dimensions of my pool, so I'm going to pull this thing off 2 foot 10 inch on either side. And then we're going to come back in and form it up with some concrete blocks. So I'm going to start at this point. And this is my 50-foot mark, so I know the distance to my pool is going to begin here. And I'll take these number 6 blocks, and we'll show you how we're going to come back in and cap the bluestone on top of these. So we've got to get started laying these blocks, and it looks like a lot of work. I probably better put on some boots. I don't think these Birkenstocks provide a whole lot of protection for my little piggies there. It's amazing what we still remember from kindergarten, isn't it? All right, like I said, what I did is pull off of my center line and got each one of my blocks. And the inside diameter of the pool is going to be 5 feet. So I've got 2 number 6 blocks, which adding those together is going to put us right around 5'8" and a quarter. So I'm going to come back in and check my distances and see that I'm slightly off. So I move my block in about a 1/2 inch. And now I'm ready to start running the sides all the way up. So this thing goes together pretty fast. All right, as we come down the pool, I just periodically come back in and check my distances to make sure that I'm still holding my 5'8" and a quarter outside dimension. And then what we'll do when we finish, I'll pull a string line and check each side from angle to angle and pull everything square from that point. So we've got these last few pieces on this end cap, and we'll be ready to roll. So now we've gotten our form work of our block in, and what I'm going to do now is come back in and protect my liner, because I'm using my same 45 mil EPDM Firestone liner on this. I want to make sure that I've got good protection. Although this is just a temporary setup, and I'm going to be breaking this thing down in a couple of days, I want to make sure I don't have any problems. So I'll come back in and take a piece of my same, this is an 8-ounce non-woven geotextile underlayment material. So what I'll do is I'll take this and drape it on top of my blocks, and it really adheres to it. This is almost like Velcro. You can hear how this stuff just sticks to it. So that's great for bonding to these concrete blocks, because actually once you get it on there, you can hardly get it off. But I'll take it and fold it back in, and you know, here again, trying to make this lay as flat as you can so you don't have any wrinkles. But of course, in our instance, you're not going to see any wrinkles because we're going to be using a black dye in this whole reflecting pool. So anyway, we'll finish laying our underlayment on top of the protective cover for the block, and then we'll be ready for some lining. We've gotten a full roll, or what I did is I took a 10-foot roll of 100-foot length liner, and I cut off the width that we needed, and we came in here, and once I had this block work formed, we just stretched it out and pulled it in place. So you can see surprisingly how well this material lays in. And this works great for any type of a trade show or a gardening show like we're doing now. I mean, it's quick and it's easy, and this thing really looks good when we finish. So now we've got our liner in, we'll tuck and fold it, and we'll be ready to start laying our bluestone cap. All right, hey, been working 10 minutes, and man, look how good we are. We've already gotten this thing laid out, and Stephen's gonna help me lay these last couple of pieces, and then we're gonna show you how we're gonna have to do a little tumblestone cap where our walkways are gonna butt our pond. So give me a hand, Stephen. Let's set these last couple in place, and then we can start laying our limestone. Yeah, I just want to say we're gonna go out on the loading dock. All right, we're gonna hold up now because what we've got to do is we're gonna have to cut some pieces to fill in the gap, as well as with this limestone we've got on this end, we're gonna come in and lay it up underneath the edge of the facing of the stone. This is going to be a walkway. It's going to come around on each side of the reflecting pool, so that we'll simply go ahead and grout these stones in and set them so that they'll be able to bring their pavers up. So we'll get started on that now. Needless to say, I don't think a lot of these antique dealers would appreciate us covering the whole arena with some stone dust, so we're going to be good neighbors and go outside and cut our stone. All right, well, we've got this cut's going to fill in our far end, and then Stephen is laying that lower end with that tumblestone or that limestone that's going to go on the bottom of the block. So by the time we get this piece set, we should be able to come back in and see how close we are on that other end we're going to have to cut. So seems like he's hard at it there. While Stephen takes a well-deserved donut break, I place the last bluestone cap piece. Normally, we would mortar between all the pieces, but since we're taking this down in 3 days, we'll skip that step. We will, however, space the stones evenly, but we'll mortar the areas where guests will be walking. Because we're going to have direct access up to these walkways when they abut the pond, we're going to come in and these end caps we're going to mortar. Because I know some little Susie or Johnny is going to come walking up and dance on the edge, or try to reach over and dangle their fingers in the water, and we don't want these pieces falling in. So these particular ones are the only ones we're going to mortar in place, and we've actually used a pretty good sand mixture in here so that when we come in to break this thing apart, we can just pop it with a hammer and it'll turn loose. 3 days, that's all we want, 3 days. As you can see, this reflecting pool has come together quite quickly, basically a day and a half. Now it's time to see if it can hold water. We still got a few little touch-up odd and end things to do. We're going to come back in and add some black dye to it, and you'll really see when we put that black dye in how it makes this pool totally reflective. This is just a black dye, and it's going to provide us a just really good reflective property in the water. And you can already see, where he's put it on this end, how just reflective this thing is going to be. And I use this particular type of dye in a lot of our installations where there's not actually a pump and there's a filtration process. Well, this dye acts as a shade cloth, basically, just like any shade cloths you put down in a landscaping installation. So it stops any sunlight penetration getting into the water and stops that algae growth. All right, as you can see, our job here is done, and left up to the rest of these guys to get their parts of the garden finished out. But next time you see us, it's going to be showtime.
Welcome back to Backyard Oasis. I had the chance to take a road trip to a home that has 2 incredible water features in the backyard. The first is a 300-pound ball floating effortlessly on a sheet of water. The distance between this 300-pound ball and slab of granite is no greater than the thickness of a business card. This second feature is called a runnel, which is basically a man-made creek. This particular runnel is quite unique because of the stone that the designer has chosen. It's a Mexican beach stone, which is known for its soft texture and soft hues. It creates a very relaxing atmosphere in this homeowner's backyard. Now let's hear from our friend Fred Spicer. He's got a couple of colorful plants to show you.
The name of this plant is copperleaf. Taxonomists know it as Acalypha wilksiana. And boy, I really wish this were hardy here. Wouldn't this make a beautiful evergreen? You could have this rich sort of coppery, reddish purple color all season long. Unfortunately, it's not hardy for us here in Birmingham, but if you plant this plant out after the danger of frost has passed, maybe about mid-May, this plant will just be the star of your garden until the first frost in early fall takes it to the ground. Now, you can call this plant a chenille plant if you want. That's another name for it. The flower, which is inside the plant, has kind of a fuzzy texture like the fabric chenille. I think it's an interesting name and an interesting little flower, but I think the reason you grow this plant is for these beautiful leaves. And you can call it copperleaf, you can call it acalypha, you can call it whatever you want, but you should put it in your garden.
Thanks, Fred. Now let's check out our finished reflecting pool. Let's see if it's making any impressions.
Hey folks, it's showtime. As you can tell, everything has just come together beautifully. Last part you saw, our pond was being filled. You can see we've got it filled, got our dye in it, got a great addition here with these different colored daisies that the ladies have put in. Even added us some little candlelight along the edge, just so romantic. Landscapers did a great job. I mean, look at the plant material that they put in along the sides. They fluffed it up with some pine straw. The pavers matched beautifully with our bluestone coping that we've chosen. Hey, they even put us in a little sodded lawn over here. You know, hey, after a few drinks, we may want to play a little croquet. Well, look, we're going to go find Charlie and see how his project came together. Charlie.
Hey, Chuck.
Man, this place really looks great.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that very much.
I can't begin to tell you how impressed I am. And, you know, although I've seen these things put together sometime like this, you know, what do some of these vendors think that have never been to a show like this?
Well, they're pretty impressed, to say the least. First of all, most of them have never been to an event like this, about 50% in fact. And they're blown away by both the quality of what's offered and the presentation, particularly the presentation. They've never seen anything like this put together at one time.
Well, it really does look impressive. And I mean, the gardens, I mean, they just really look fantastic. And, you know, the way...
This is wonderful.
The way that the vendor booths are set up, I mean, they do such a great job of displaying their wares, and I mean, I think it really just says a lot for, you know, for your capabilities and abilities to be able to pull this off. I mean, because it is a task to get in, you know, how many 60,000 square feet of
We have 90,000, and we have 90 vendors here.
Okay, it really looks great, and I've certainly enjoyed working with you, and hopefully we can do it again soon.
Look forward to it as well. Thank you, Chuck.
Thank you
very much.
Well, another satisfied customer. As you can see, water features can be built just about anywhere, so don't be afraid to get creative right in your own home. Reflecting pools make a great focal point to any garden, and they can be built in any shape or size. And most importantly, you can take as much time as you need.
It's time for our last water break. Did you know that if you use a biological filter and regular tap water to clean it, you need to add a dose of nitrifying bacteria to the pond? Tap water contains chlorine, which kills any beneficial bacteria growing on the surface.
We're just going to show you this little small fountain we set up for one of the little garden rooms for one of the other gardeners that are setting up here. And basically they came in and provided us with this box, which honestly is not large enough for the size piece, but we made it work. We're professionals, you know. So we came in and I used this same liner installation and filled the inside of the box with the liner, stapled it down. They provided some grating and a little support under the urn. So we drilled through the urn and I brought a pipe up. And if you look at the top, you see how we just got a clear sheet of glass. But inside of that is our supply pipe. And we didn't want to see any bubbling or any water movement at all, so when we brought the pipe up, we turn the water discharge down at 90 degrees, so the water movement is going downward, but as it fills up, it slowly and evenly spills over the top of the urn. So with the rippled formation of the urn, it just creates a great effect and a great sound. And you know, the pump's located in the bottom. This is really a simple fountain to set up. Like I said, the only problem is this base is not large enough. Technically, if you were doing this for a home installation, you want the diameter of the base to be the height of the urn. So in our case, this base should have been at least 3 feet by 3 feet instead of 18 inches by 18 inches. But either way, we've made it work. Like I said, this is just a temporary setup for a couple of days. So you can see how she came in, put her moss up, filled it in, and here again, the key to making this thing work is making sure that nothing touches this water as it flows down the urn itself. If anything can catch it, it's going to run out and go out of the basin, because again, the basin is too small. So she's done a good job of hiding it, and when you back off and look at it from a distance, you can't see any of the grading that they've done. But it's done a great, wonderful, little lush look of a garden, and this little fountain just does a great, great little accent piece.
We hope you enjoyed our show today. What an incredible reflecting pool, and the fact that it was built indoors in just 2 days is amazing. If you would like to find out more information about our show, please visit our website at www.backyardoasis.tv. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you again on Backyard Oasis, where it's all about water.
Water, cool, clear water. Water running down the mighty Mississippi. Oh, water. You know there's some down there in Mobile. Water, baby, come on, give me a sip.